My name is Anomalous. Welcome to the channel. Today, we're examining the bizarre and excessive lives of a few stars who definitely lived and died by the rock and roll lifestyle. And if you like stories of the strange and bizarre, don't forget to like and subscribe for more. If there ever was a victim of rock and roll excess, it was Michael Jackson, who suffered from excessive plastic surgery, spending, and drugs. But sadly, it would be drugs that led to his early death. Michael became addicted to painkillers after he suffered burns to his head in an accident filming a Pepsi commercial in 1984. He also began to bleach his skin and alter his appearance with cosmetic surgery. After the success of his solo career and the mega-hit album Thriller, Jackson was left with so much money that he built Neverland, a sprawling compound with a mansion, a fairground, and exotic animals. He even carried around a chimp called Bubbles. But in 1993, things began to go wrong for Michael Jackson. His name was forever smeared by Jordan Chandler's accusations of molestation. He was forced to undergo a humiliating body search to see if Chandler's description of his genitals was correct, and he was traumatized and humiliated by this. Next, he married Lisa Marie Presley, but the marriage was a failure. Apparently, Lisa Marie wanted to help him with his addictions. Then, he fathered 2 kids with his nurse Debbie, before dangling his third child named Blanket from a third-floor hotel balcony, an act that would disgust the public. There were more accusations of child abuse, but he was cleared of them, and Michael fled to Bahrain. He eventually ran out of money due to his excessive spending habits, and he was forced to sell Neverland. On June 25, 2009, Michael Jackson died. This came as a shock to the world, but not those in the know. Increasingly frail and dependent upon drugs to combat his insomnia, Jackson was a wreck. He had complained of insomnia the night before his death, and his physician, Dr. Conrad Murray, had fed him vast amounts of sedatives. When Michael was still awake, Dr. Murray gave him propofol, a heavy-duty anesthetic. This heady mix of depressants affected Jackson's central nervous system and slowed down his breathing until he died. There was a worldwide outpouring of grief, and eventually Conrad Murray was prosecuted for manslaughter. In reality, the child star who became the king of pop was a tragic accident waiting to happen. Elvis Presley. By 1973, it was clear that things were not right with the king. He was totally addicted to prescription drugs, and an overdose of barbiturates put him in a coma for several days. But because he got these drugs from doctors, he didn't think it was a problem. He continued to perform live and record, but became more and more debilitated. He gained weight and even started to use a teleprompter for his lyrics. The studios couldn't coax a performance out of him, and by 1977, his stage performances were beyond woeful. On August 16, 1977, his girlfriend Ginger found him dead on the bathroom floor. It was an ignominious end for the king, a mere 44 years old. After he died, those associated with Elvis commented about his drug problems, and, ironically, during a trip to Washington, D.C., Richard Nixon had previously made him an honorary DEA agent. This granted Elvis the privilege of being able to carry a firearm on a commercial airplane. Elvis died due to polypharmacy. There were 14 drugs in his system, 10 at heavy levels. Combined with an enlarged heart, this was his downfall. In the first few months of 1977, Presley's physician issued over 10,000 prescriptions for amphetamines, barbiturates, and narcotics for the singer. The doctor would later face sanctions due to overprescribing. In any case, rock and roll excess was Elvis's downfall. Rick James was at the top of the music charts in the late 1970s and early 80s with his unique brand of post-disco funk. But things weren't exactly as good as they seemed. Rick had smoked marijuana since he was a teenager, and by the 1990s he was heavily addicted to cocaine. James actually admitted to eventually spending up to $7,000 a week for drugs for 5 straight years. But in 1993, a bizarre and disturbing incident occurred. James and his soon-to-be wife Tanya kidnapped a woman called Frances Alley and kept her hostage for 6 days. They allegedly tied her up, burned her with crack pipes, and forced her into sex acts. James was found guilty of this horrific act, but beat charges for the more serious accusations of torture. He served a 2-year sentence in Folsom Prison. In August 2004, James was found dead by a caretaker in his LA home. He was riddled with diabetes, he had suffered a stroke, and wore a pacemaker. Officially dead from pulmonary and cardiac arrests, the autopsy showed that James's system was loaded with street drugs, cocaine, methamphetamines, and pharmaceuticals, but in levels that were not toxic. Individually, these drugs may not have killed him, but his years of outrageous excess could not have helped him out. Amy Winehouse. You've all heard the lyrics to Rehab, and here we have a girl who drank herself unconscious and then died. I'm sure the people who told her to go to rehab must have felt a little vindicated, but what a tragic and unnecessary loss for a great artist. That's a few tales of the excesses of wealth and fame, and if you're a rock star watching this, try not to let it happen to you, that's all. If you like this video and you like what I'm doing, please subscribe and support my channel. I'll be creating stories and covering strange and unusual occurrences and phenomena from around the world and throughout history. My name is Anomalous. Peace and love, and thanks for watching.